When Women Speak and New Jersey Poetry Events presents When People Speak, Poetry and Conversation with Pop-Up Poetry Guests. Our pop-up poetry lineup will be
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to When People Speak.
and welcome to our Black History celebration. This is episode 9, and we have a phenomenal program for you, featuring the very powerful, very talented Ed Marbury. So I want to open up this program with a rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, but we're going to introduce our brother here that's with us, joining us today. And go ahead, Amir, go ahead and introduce this very talented brother that we have tonight.
Absolutely. This brother is near and dear to me. This is Mr. James Young, a proud graduate of Hampton Institute or Hampton University, as it's called now, where I have 3 alumni at this point. Clap it up for HBCU. It's now a university, and James Young was a student at Hampton University, and he is a religious and a community leader in the city of Newark. He retired from Newark Housing Authority as an asset manager and proud to have been the first. This is the month that we celebrate the first Black director of human resources at the Newark Airport Marriott Hotel. Clap it up. He currently is a clean energy solar advocate with the South Ward Environmental Alliance. Mr. James Young is known in both the fashion and music community for his artistic talents. He is the proud father of 2 adult sons. Thank you, everybody. And now, Mr. James Young.
Lift every voice and sing to earth and heaven. Ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark path has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom of me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. sing a song full of the hope that the present has taught us, facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Whew. So wait, brother, hold on. You just gonna make me cry up in here. I'm trying to stand up and give a standing ovation for that beautiful rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. I need to shout out before I say another word to Bishop Edmund Griffin back there on the piano, playing his heart out. We appreciate you, brothers. You are the epitome of fineness, of character, of bringing this history to our stage. When people speak, if I could stand up, I definitely would be standing up at this point, giving you the snaps up. Thank you, Mr. James Young. Thank you so much for blessing us with that beauty. James, you want to say something? James Ellery?
Oh man, that brings me back to my organizational days with the Bergen County NAACP. Mighty Bergen County. Shout out to all of them. And we used to open up with Lift Every Voice and Sing for our Black History program. So thank you for bringing me some good memories back and letting us know that we can march on till victory is won.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But before you go, because this is important, this is a platform for celebration. This is a platform for raising up those Black people in our midst and those that can hear us near and far and just celebrating. I want to bring to the stage some facts about Lift Every Voice and Sing. Lift Every Voice and Sing was originally a poem. This is a setting for spoken word. So this was originally a poem, and it was written by James Weldon Johnson. This fella lived 1871 to 1938. It was then later set to music by his brother John Johnson in 1899, and it was first performed in the Johnsons' hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, as a part of a celebration for Lincoln's birthday, which was on February 12, 1900. And the people that sung it, it was 500 school children at a segregated Staten school where James Weldon Johnson was principal. Now, I'm feeling a little left out because everybody that's phenomenal on this particular aspect is named James. You get you get what I'm talking about? So I'm just going to make my name be Samaj. That's James backward and sounds kind of feminine. All jokes aside, it was beautiful. And we thank you. We are humbled that you are a part of our program this evening. Thank you so much, the both of you, Mr. James Young, Jimmy Young, and Bishop Edmund Griffin. Thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Lift every voice and sing, brothers. Lift every voice and sing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the show on Facebook Live. Whew.
Oof.
Makes my heart hurt and sing and pound. And it's a beautiful thing. I taught this poem today. This is how I knew so much about it. I taught this poem today to my school children. So it wasn't like, it was like magic. Like I studied it. No, I taught that today and just gave the importance of understanding and knowing that that particular piece talks about triumph. Yeah. It talks about victories. It talks about pain. It talks about suffering. It talks about having knowledge that we are a strong people. So what better place to have it debut? Well, not debut, but debuted again here on when people speak with Mr. Jim Young and Reverend Bishop at that. Bishop Edmund Griffin at that. So, gotta get my breath. All right, James, what we gonna do now?
Well, you know what we always do. We always like to set the temperature, and in the room, and and we like to share some words from ourselves. And I'm going to give the mic over to you and see what you could come with, that's befitting of this event and theme for the night. So I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay, Happy History Month. I took out the word Black because Black history is every day. Happy History Month. I'm going to be doing a piece that I wrote not long ago. It's a sonnet, and the title of the poem is "Ode to Lynching." Ode to lynching. There was fraught in my fear of shouts of silence driving to picnics. The lynchings, they inspired me to write. How I hate the way you hang, kill, and hurt them, my people. In your thoughts and your ways and days of privilege, invading my mind day and all through the night. It's fear. It's fear. I may still die enslaved, although you say I be free. The irony, you say. Always dreaming about the Black overt deception. We just wander unwoke. Let me compare this to the bloodless tomb. You meander free. But me, I am destined to spaces and times that weren't ever meant to be mine. Dependency for blood milk that kills. And you smile as I sip. Yours are more breathless. And your endless infamy be hot and burning, shooting stars into galaxies of endless persecution of dead sun heat and summertime. Although the hydrant leaks, it leaks water. It can't clean the swallows of the ghetto you left behind when you migrated to the hills to flee me. Just tell me, was I free? Oh, how do I hate you? Let me count the ways I hate your mean legacy. With Emmett-like tears and fears of mamas like Mrs. Till, thinking of sons before me and behind me and fields left lifeless, fed with our tears, these fill my days. My hate for you is ungrateful years of regret of ancestor souls meeting, conquering, ripping ragged from lands further away than memory. We are forgotten. Now I rust away with blackness in my heart. I remember your white words while we're apart. Here's where I say the N word, banished from my vocabulary in shouts of die, nigga, die, nigga, die. But you can't understand how I conquered even death. You brought us here. We shall live. We shall live. We shall. My blue lynching, you inspire me to write. I hate the way you beat and shoot, invading my mind days and through many nights, always dreaming about the sins of your fathers as they have the desire to loot and shoot my sons in streets that have now become endless tombs. They cannot openly hang on trees anymore, so they shoot folks down to even that score. Any lynching still estranged with the fruits of the labor being mental slavery, forcing mistrust. But let me suggest we die in streets, yet those that live will be remembered that won't die. So they will be the reminder that won't make you feel better about the world nor its ending. And you shall not enjoy your comfort as we shall not die in vain. My Black lives, you inspire me to write. How I love the way you breathe, cry, and die, invading my mind day and through the night, always dreaming about greatness, our battle cry. My Black lives, you inspire me to write. How I hate the way you point fingers at brothers, ignore the cries of mothers. Their cries invade my mind days and through the nights, on repeat as we surrender in defeat, when we kill each other. Let me compare you to the murderous thrill. You are most misled, unfed from knowledge beds. Blood rains, floods the streets, the sound of fields in our dismay. And then summertime, and the summertime does not bring life as long as your brother's skin be shed. Let me compare you to a frightened mothers who cry, rounds of rains flooding the fields of barren Aprils. And the springtimes has the tightened budding buds, leaving only branches and trenches of blood. How do I love you? Let me count the ways, my people. I love your glorious skin and blood. Thinking of your futures fills my days. My love for you is what I breathe. Remember my sacred words while we're apart. There was fraud in my fear of shouts of people mattering. People mattering, people mattering. I keep silent, driving to the lynchings, draped in whites, shouts in black, sprinkled with Skittles. blood-laced playground walls painted with red, white, and blues, mixed with the browns of unmelanin hues. They inspire me to write. James, you left me up here?
Wow, wow. Wow. That was phenomenal. I had a couple of lines that really stuck out to me. One of them is, "We shall not die in vain." And then, "My Black lives will inspire me to write." I mean, wow. Like, thank you for that. Thank you for that piece. You even had you're blowing up the comments here, you know, you know, most misled, preach a good word, got hearts, powerful, preach sister, preach sister.
I appreciate y'all out there in Facebook land. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. And thank you for connecting. Your lives inspiring me to write. So, James, you up. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Happy Black History Month. Happy History Month. Let's go.
Yeah, happy American History Month.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think this piece is fitting. I wrote it a while ago. It's actually featured in my book, Beyond the Event Horizon. And I'm just going to get into it. It's called Free Me. Free me. My heart has been captive for so long. Unchain my heart like Ray Charles and join me in a sing-along of an old Negro spiritual. I need that miracle only a saint like you can give, so I may live again, be reborn, baptize me in your gospel. I'm your disciple, so what is your sermon? Chase these vermins from my mental. Purify this temple. Send your love to the outskirts and then make it residential. Free me. Give me my freedom papers. And if not, then send me on your underground railroad so I may escape to your love like Canada. I can't stand the thought of having these chains another day. I know you know the way. I know you know what to say. Let me be your runaway slave. Let me be your Sinke. And you can give us free. And we can be as strong as Alhaj Malik Shabazz and Betty Shabazz and overcome this Wizard of Oz they call America. Free me so I may one day celebrate my day of Jubilee. And we can rebuild Black Wall Street, make something more concrete, a strong foundation with saving ourselves and then saving this nation, making 2021 feel like 1865, make me feel alive again. With you, I will always win. Come release thee, come unleash thee, so my freedom can begin. Free me. Thank you.
Power to the people, power to the people, power to the poets. That's our mantra tonight. Power to the poets. I just got to say, I got to stop making these funny faces. I'm looking at them videos of me and I look crazy. But hey, when you got to speak, you got to speak. That's when people speak. That's when people speak. Who's up next, James?
We're going to change the schedule a little bit. We're going to flip the schedule a little bit. And we're going to bring up a powerhouse of a poet. I nicknamed her the Octavia Butler of poetry. And I mean, she's just phenomenal, an all-around wordsmith and griot of today. She goes by the name of Kali, the poet. And I'm going to read a little bit about her. Poet, philosopher, friend, a woman of many hats, Kat, aka Kali the poet, was born and raised in Essex County, New Jersey. Her poetry is a culmination of all the lessons she learned throughout her life, heartbreak, disappointment, love, and spiritual growth from the basis of her understanding of the world and how she maneuvers through it. It's my hope that when people hear or read my poetry, it makes them think, connect, and maybe even learn some things about themselves they may not have realized before. She currently resides in South Jersey, represents South Jersey, where she is a pursuer of her master's degree in social work and waiting for the day that when she can gather in groups again. So help me at this time welcome the modern day griot herself, Kali, the poet.
Oh, you flatter me.
Always, always,
Hi,
always. Hey, Miss Callie, how are you this evening?
I'm well. I'm definitely glad to be here tonight. Wonderful poetry already. Beautiful singing.
Yes,
That
yes.
was absolutely amazing.
Jimmy Young tore that apart to pieces. Well, I have to say, welcome to history. So we
Thank
getting off this stage. We're gonna let you teach what you teach. How about that? Everybody,
Sounds good.
Callie the poet.
All right, so this poem is called When Greenwood Burnt to Black, in memory of the Tulsa Race Massacre. A male and a female are in an elevator together. It is during an era when slaves are wearing clothes so nice they give the impression of being free, and you almost miss the rope burns still scarred on necks, the audacity of chocolate brown success. Who let you buy back your smile? Joy is a luxury you aren't supposed to be able to afford in this racial divide as clear as black and white. A young black boy and a white girl are in an elevator. It is high noon and high tension, and it is Tulsa in 1921 when there was wealth to be had for black families if you weren't unlucky enough to be lynched first before you found this Wall Street for colored folk. Businesses as black as the oil that pumped from soils and paid bills, bought silk and satin and mansion and the illusion of humanity. This Wall Street made so many migrate to the idea that they could shatter through segregated glass ceilings, so content they failed to see the devils sharpening the shards that fell. This walled street wasn't built strong enough to shelter in from the hate or the jealousy of patriotic bigots who hide behind sheets as white as the woman who is now screaming in an elevator. A black boy is seen running from the scene. Whether he is seen as innocent or guilty won't change how fast he runs, because whether he is guilty or innocent, he is guilty because he's black. And wealth can't exonerate no nigga when there's a white girl screaming. This is Tulsa. This is 1921. This is life. And if he is to have any chance at living it, he has to run and not stop until he finds a new timeline or finds a new race they don't massacre. He finds himself in a prison cell the next day because a white girl screamed in an elevator, and he's black and he's guilty even if he's innocent. There's a Klan outside the doors demanding his body as if it were stolen livestock. Stolen racial superiority ripped from self righteous hands. They are ready to storm the building like soldiers in the battle on Troy or the battle on Berlin or the battle on Capitol. They'll kill their own politicians to keep their Confederate empire from falling. For the first time in history, a black man is safer in prison than he is in society. His people have come to help protect him from the mob. They are armed and at the ready to defend this young boy's spirit, ready to remind white America that they are no longer slaves, though whip wounds have not healed on backs. Enraged by cotton and tobacco and sugarcane memories, they point guns bought with money they've earned from businesses they own, and that angers these antebellum offsprings even more. Who shot first will always be a matter of debate, but it's a sure thing that bullets are the first thing to light up the night. There must have been screams, more emphatic and more excruciating than elevator incidents. How many men became martyrs for that young man? Whether guilty or innocent, he is Black, and so are the heroes of this story. So history will dilute their deaths, pick apart the reason they are standing here on guard and at the ready as a mere disagreement amongst the townspeople. They'll never admit that this was a war for the worthiness to be alive. These warriors are soon overpowered and pushed back into the safety of their own city streets, wall streets made of gold and promises that are soon to be broken. Maybe they should have built them higher so they could sit up on top and see the rage headed towards town. They would have been able to warn the people that this resentment on its way wasn't just about a guilty Black boy or a porcelain white woman, but they didn't, because they couldn't. An enemy infiltrates Black affluence and sparks go flying. Greenwood ignites like kindling when it's fueled with lily white rage and lit with gunfire. Dead bodies burn inside their lavish homes. Expensive suits and satins cover bullet wounds. Bellies full of exotic foods spilled out on wall streets, not built high enough to make them seem any more human than naked slaves on auction blocks in cotton fields. When the smoke cleared, so did the story. Unmarked mass graves of human remains unaccounted for in the final tally of the dead. No obituaries, no news coverage, no homage to the just born infant found without mother in the center of town, found without breath, found without name. With the sweat off of brows in the blink of an eye, an entire city built on Black backs and prosperity is demolished. This is Tulsa. This is Newark and New York and LA. This is everywhere in our country today. A Black boy, a symbol of hope or hate, depending on who's screaming and who's running. Thank you.
Deep breaths of salvation.
Mm.
Victory is on its way. It's here. We teaching tonight. This is our history. This is American history.
Mm-hmm.
Let the hate seep away. You better teach, sis. You better teach. Thank you for coming to our stage. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just briefly mentioned Black Wall Street, and you gave the whole history lesson on Black Wall Street. We must never forget. They like to paint this narrative that we come from a poor people, that we're not good at business, that we never have seen upward mobility. But Tulsa, we must never forget Tulsa. Ever forget Tulsa. It was so affluent. They said the brothers and sisters would go to church, and the sisters would wear silk dresses. You mentioned the silk dresses. Brothers would have gold, those gold watches hanging from their pockets. It was very affluent, very prosperous. Lawyers, doctors, you name it. Every aspect of society was represented in Tulsa.
And not only did we prove that we could be business people and we could be affluent, we proved that we could do all of that within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And the reason why it existed was because we couldn't find it out in any other race, in Tulsa. So we built it for ourselves, and it was proof that we could survive and flourish on our own.
It's self-sufficient. See, the thing about racism and the thing about being, or one people thinking that they're superior over the other, is that they get that illusion that you can't do. And if you hear it enough, you too begin to believe it. See, they learned through that example that they had to take that away, because that would go on and on and on into the future. And it was just too good. It was too good when there were white people out there that didn't have. If you think about some of the atrocities or some of the things that this country did and Cuba's existence, they thought for sure that Cuba would not be able to survive when they pulled back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they couldn't take away from that community, they burnt it to the ground. Not only did they burn it to the ground, they were the first looters. They looted it. So when they want to talk about Black people in their communities, they looted it.
They burned it to the ground, and then they swept the ashes under the rug, because they couldn't then admit that they were the ones that torched it and ruined it. So they had to brush it under, hope nobody asked any questions.
And it's another thing. Ask me why I was a full-grown, all the way adult before I even learned about Black Wall Street. But you know, it's in our mind that this is not a deception on purpose. I was a grown woman. So
yeah,
some people still don't know.
Yeah,
some people still don't know about it. We have to tell.
I hope above all that anybody that's listening to this that doesn't know it will look into it, because it's a lot of our history involved in that, and it's a lot of, it shows proof of what we can do and what was done to us to make sure that we forgot what we can do.
Yes. We have to tell our stories. You can't look to the enemy to tell your story. You tell your own story. And then I like to leave with this last line where Frederick Douglass said, "What are you going to do with the Black man? Do nothing with the Black man. He'll survive on his own. We don't need your help."
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for sharing that piece.
Singing all that deep poetry up in here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Callie. I'm only kidding. Thank you. We're always very, very pleasantly surprised. Not surprised, but pleasantly happy with the work that you share on our stage. We're always looking forward to you coming and gracing us with your presence. You are phenomenal. Thank you. You phenomenal Black woman. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See you, Callie, the poet.
All right. Wow.
Woo! All of that.
I don't know if it's so ironic because I don't know if you see my shirt.
In the black.
And it gives the definition, meaning in a state of success, or what is that? Or I'm reading it upside down. Or progression or progress. So we must always strive to be in the black.
In the black,
yeah.
As opposed to being in the red. I mean, in the white. Okay, never mind.